Welcome back to Birds of a Feather. This is your daily Baltimore sports podcast. My name is Nathan Stroud, and today we're going to be going over the Orioles' win over the Tampa Bay Rays in the first game of the final homestand of the year for the Orioles. The Orioles won today 6-0 over the Rays. Again, there's now only 5 more games left of the season. We've got a game tomorrow, a game Thursday, and then the final series on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So we're really counting down these Orioles games. Again, this is the final week of the season for the Baltimore Orioles, and they started off the final week, or the final 6 games of the season. They started off with a win today over the Rays. They won 6-0. They shut out the Rays. The pitching by Dean Kramer and the bullpen was excellent, and also the offense went out there and did their thing today. So we'll go over that game in just a little bit, but also in this episode, we are going to be going over and talking about some more final thoughts and just kind of, wrapping up everything regarding that Ravens versus Lions game, because there is a little bit more that I do want to say regarding that game that I didn't really get to allude to in yesterday's episode. Obviously, if you tuned into yesterday's episode, it was like a 57-minute episode, so almost an hour of just talking about the Orioles not talking about the Orioles, talking about the Ravens in yesterday's episode. So there is some more stuff that I do want to go over there. But let's just get right into this Orioles game. So going over this Orioles game, obviously the Orioles win 6-0 over the Tampa Bay Rays. The Orioles win 6-0. The Orioles record now sits at 74-83 on the season. They are 9 games below 500 with 5 games left on the year. So the best that they can do, the record that they can have by the end of the season, if they win the next 5, is 79-83, which would still be below 500. Obviously, you're asking a lot to win, the next 5 games, but anything is possible, obviously, in baseball. But going over this game, the Orioles win 6-0 over the Rays, and the offense went out there, had 7 total hits on the day, scored 6 runs off those 7 hits, went 1 for 6 with runners in scoring position, and left 5 guys on base. So a pretty good day, pretty solid day from the offense. Going over the offense, Jackson Holliday went 0 for 3 with a run scored and a walk. Jordan Westburg went 2 for 3 with a run scored and an RBI. So shout out to Jordan Westburg getting a 2-hit day. I think his first multi-hit game since he's come back from the injured list. Gunnar Henderson goes 1 for 2 with 2 RBIs in this game. Gunnar Henderson with a nice little 2 RBI single in this game. Tyler O'Neill goes 0 for 4 with an RBI. Dylan Beavers goes 0 for 4. Adley Rutschman in his first game back from the injury. And with Adley Rutschman coming back, it is a little bit weird because, again, this is literally the last week of the season. There's 6 games left of the season, and we decided to bring Adley Rutschman back off the injured list. He made a couple of rehab starts down in AAA, but he is now back with the Orioles for the last week of the season. So I do expect him to be active here for about, the next 4 or 5 games left of the season. But he did get the start today. Was catching today as well. Adley goes 0 for 4 with the strikeout in this game, so not really the best showing in his return. Samuel Basallo goes 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts and a run scored. He did get hit by a pitch, so he did get on base. Colton Cowser goes 2 for 4 with, and Colton Cowser, 100% player of the day today on offense. He went 2 for 4 with 2 runs scored and a 2-run homer. So Colton Cowser ended up having a multi-hit day, had a 2-run homer as well, which brought in as the RBIs he did, and he also scored 2 runs in this game. So Colton Cowser, big contributor, had the 2-run homer in the 6th inning, so shout out to him. Was the only home run hit in this game by any player, so Colton Cowser getting a home run on the year. His batting average is back up to above a 200. And then Kobe Mayo went 2 for 2 with a run and a walk. So Kobe Mayo has been playing pretty solid here recently in the month of September. He's gotten some multi-hit games, he's gotten some RBIs, but today he gets another multi-hit day. 2 hits, a run scored as well, and a walk. 2 hits, a run scored, and a walk. So shout out to Kobe, shout out to Colton, and shout out to Jordan Westburg. All 3 of those guys had multiple hits in this game. They were responsible for 6 of the 7 total Orioles hits in this game. Obviously Gunnar getting the other hits, but the offense did its thing. 1 home run, Colton Cowser, 2-run homer, 7 hits, 6 runs scored. Nice to see the offense go out there and put up, a decent scoring performance. But going over to the pitching, Dean Kramer went out there and he was excellent in today's game. He was almost perfect, really, in today's game. Got through 6.1 innings, gave up 1 hit, 0 walks, and 0 runs in 6 innings. He also collected 4 strikeouts as well, a 97 pitch count across 6 innings. By far one of his better starts of the season. 6 innings, no runs, and only gave up 1 hit in those 6 innings. So other than the base hit, he was perfect in this game for in those 6 innings that he pitched. Dean Kramer gets the win, obviously, in this game, 11-10 on the season. This was now Dean Kramer's last start of the year, and for every Oriole that pitches, starting pitcher that pitches from here on out, it will be their last start of the season. So Dean Kramer's last start of the year was great. 6.1 innings, no runs. You'd love to see it. Castillo came in, didn't give up a run or a walk, but did give up a hit. And then Selby came in, was perfect, and then Geraldo came in and was perfect as well. So the bullpen did good, the starting pitching did good. Overall, the pitching was great for the Orioles, and the offense was also great as well. And in this game, again, the Rays are a team that have already been eliminated from the playoffs. The Rays are already eliminated. They got eliminated the other day, so there's really like no true point, I guess, of trying, I guess, for the Rays. Obviously, you have like the end of the year, and you just want to have your guys out there and have fun, but not have fun, you know what I mean. But the Orioles have been kind of playing, knowing that they're not going to make the playoffs for a while. So the Yankees did clinch the playoffs today. So when we play them this weekend, I don't know if they're going to be playing for seeding, but they did already clinch the playoffs. But both of these teams in this game did not or not going to make the playoffs. So the Orioles again win 6-0 over the Rays. You'd love to see a nice little win there. But switching it up over here to another sport, and if you're watching on YouTube, you can see on my screen right now multiple pictures here of John Harbaugh, because this is kind of the vibe right now that the Ravens are giving off right now. But I do want to kind of say a couple of things, just kind of my final thoughts and takeaways from the game yesterday, because, again, there was a lot that happened in that game. There's a lot to talk about. Obviously, yesterday was one of my longest episodes of this show, where we went on for almost an hour talking about this game. But my final takeaways from this game, and I posted these on my Twitter, so if you do want to follow the Birds of a Feather Twitter account, make sure to click the link in the bio of whatever platform you're listening to. Make sure to go check out the Twitter and give it a follow. But the final takeaways from this game, really we're playing out. The Lions outplayed us, and they were the better team. Like, they were the better team yesterday. There really hasn't been a lot of scenarios where a team has gone into Baltimore and really just kind of whooped them. They went into Baltimore. They were the more physical team. They won the battle in the trenches. They were physical. And obviously the coaching was great. John Harbaugh gets out coached again. Dan Campbell goes in there, does his thing, goes for it on 4th down like he does, and really just dominated the Ravens. And obviously it was a 38-30 game, but it did feel like it was a lot farther because it just kind of felt like the Lions were in control pretty much the entire game. Obviously, they literally could do anything they wanted with our defense. They could have a drive go as long as they want with our defense because it was just rough out there for the defense yesterday, and we understand that. But they were the better team yesterday, and I'm not going to come on here and say that we won because of self-inflicted wounds, blah, 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 all that stuff, because most of the time that is how the Ravens lose. So you will hear me say that most of the time on here, that's how we lose. But yesterday, the Lions were the better team. They dominated us. It was other than the Philly game last year, I really don't remember a time that a team really dominated us like that, at least in the past few years with Lamar Jackson as a starter. So it was very odd. It was very weird. But still, the Ravens were able to put up 30 points with Lamar getting sacked 7 times. And the Lions defense, I think, had 30 total pressures on the Ravens, which is an abnormal, insane number. No matter how bad your offensive line is, that's an insane number. So shout out to the Lions defense for getting to Lamar. They did a really good job of wrapping up Lamar and not really letting him scramble out of the pocket and do his magical plays. Obviously, he had a couple of plays in this game where he was able to do that, and he did make those completions. But for the most part, the Lions did a good. The Lions were pressuring Lamar. Lamar was having to back up, looking downfield, waiting for a play to develop, but didn't have time to let a play develop or to kind of be comfortable. And he tried to make something happen himself because, again, that's the quarterback that he is. And whenever he would try and make something happen, the Lions did a good job of wrapping him up and not really letting him affect him, too much. Even though Lamar had a great game, the Lions really did neutralize Lamar in this game, just in terms of the pressures and all of that stuff. But also, I wanted to say that the pass block and the run block was awful, especially in the second half. In the second half, Lamar Jackson got sacked 5 times. 5 of the 7 sacks that Lamar had was all in the second half, and that's where it really got rough for the Ravens. And, early on in the first half, the offensive line wasn't too horrible, but in the second half, it really, really got bad. I don't know if they got fatigued. I don't know if they got tired. I don't know what it was, but it was a little bit of a struggle out there on offense after the first drive of the second half. And also the run block was really bad as well. I understand the Derrick Henry fumbles, that's an issue that we'll worry about. But, after the first drive, Derrick Henry would get the ball and he would literally have to fight and crawl to get any sort of positive yardage, because right when he gets the ball, it's just all Lions players sitting in front of him the minute that he touches the ball. No room, no holes, no room to get in the second level. Just it was rough. It was a rough day for Derrick Henry, obviously with the fumble included. But I also wanted to say that this defense is looking like one of the worst we've seen in recent Ravens history. Obviously, the Ravens for years and years and years have always had a great defense. You're talking about Ed Reed, Terrell Suggs, Ray Lewis, all these guys. And to see our defense be ranked last right now, we've given up the most yards per game on a per-game basis, with 415 yards per game is what this Ravens defense is giving up, which is the last in the league. And then we're also 31st, so we're second to last in points allowed. So I think the Dolphins have given up one more point than the Ravens. I think they've given up 97. We've given up 96, but still, you're last in points allowed, and you're last in points, you're last in points allowed, and you're also last in yards allowed per game. So that is a complete problem. We've seen a lot of players on this defense thrive under Mike Macdonald, and for the people that want to say that it's not coaching, for the people that want to say that it's the talent on the defense, I just ask you to go look at what the Mike Macdonald-led defensive coordinator Ravens did back in 2022 and 2023. Because in 2023, that Ravens defense won the Triple Crown, and it gave Mike Macdonald the job with the Seattle Seahawks. And for as much as I wanted him to stay with this team, it just did not end up happening. But Zach Orr really does need to go. I'm sure he's on the hottest seat that you could possibly have right now. And now, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see these John Harbaugh pictures, because this is kind of just what it's been like with the John Harbaugh-led team. And obviously, I'm not going to sit here and fully blame John for the game yesterday. I do think that the defense was the biggest problem, obviously, but it just kind of feels like a John Harbaugh. It's just like the same thing, man. You're just never comfortable in certain situations. You're never comfortable sometimes, and when things are looking good, if it's not one thing, it's the other type of vibe with this Ravens team, and how it's been over the past couple of years. And then also, the last thing I want to say is the Derrick Henry fumbles are starting to worry me. When it comes to running backs and when it comes to receivers, there's a thing called, a dropping problem and a fumble problem, which means if it happens once or it happens, for a couple games in a row, it means that it's most likely potentially going to linger. And that's something with running backs. For example, Ramondre Stevenson is somebody who has had a fumble problem throughout the past couple of years, and it's something that has stuck with him over the season. And he had 2 fumbles on Sunday, so just to prove that even more. And then, for example, a dropping problem in football, a guy like Brian Thomas Jr., who was an elite receiver for the Jaguars last year, he, kind of had a dropping problem early on this year, and, he had some more drops this past Sunday. So it's just like a problem. I feel like players get in their own head, and it affects their game, and blah, 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 blah. So it's one of those situations where I really hope Derrick Henry doesn't get into, a routine of, fumbling the football, and I hope it doesn't affect his game at all. John Harbaugh in his post-game press conference said that he doesn't expect this to be the norm, which I hope not. Derrick Henry has kind of been known for, not really fumbling the football throughout his career, but that's why it's so weird that it's happening right now. And I also wanted to say one more thing, and it's kind of just to figure it out before Kansas City, because there's a real potential that we'll be 1-3 after next week. Lamar Jackson has never beaten the Chiefs in Kansas City. So there's a real possibility that we're 1-3. It's the 1-2 Ravens versus the 1-2 Chiefs. We're going to go over that game a lot this week, because it is a extremely important game for both teams. Because one of these 2 great teams are going to fall to 1-2 or 1-3. One of these 2 former multiple-time MVPs are going to fall to 1-3. The Chiefs obviously made the Super Bowl last year. one of the favorites to win it this year. They really haven't looked great over the first few weeks. They could fall to 1-3, and then the Ravens, who on offense have looked amazing, but the defense has looked horrible, and it's very much giving like a 2024 Bengals-like vibe. They're currently 1-2 right now and could fall to 1-3 if they don't beat the Chiefs. So I do think that the Ravens have a chance to beat the Chiefs. I think that they're the better team than the Chiefs. I think that they've been playing better than the Chiefs, even with all the stuff going on with the defense. I do think that they've been playing better because I trust the Ravens offense a lot more than I do with the Chiefs right now. But figure it out before Kansas City, because this season can take a big turn if we lose this weekend. Obviously, if we're 1-3, we're facing Houston, who's kind of due for a good game, and then we're facing the Rams, who have a bunch of great players. So it could get rough. It could get rough fast. And I was making fun of the Bengals last year for kind of being a team that just can't find a way to win games, and that's literally kind of what this season is starting to feel like right now. And then I also said it doesn't matter how many all-pros and first-round talents we throw out there on defense. It's a scheme issue and a Zach Orr issue. Coaching. And that's just the biggest thing about that. And also the fact that Lamar Jackson is playing like an MVP once again. But unfortunately, we are sitting at 1-2, so people aren't really going to recognize it. Again, alluding back to the 2024 Bengals thing, Joe Burrow last year played incredible and had incredible stats, but it didn't necessarily really matter because they lost, because they didn't make the playoffs, and they lost a lot of close games and stuff like that. And that's what it's starting to feel right now with this Ravens team. But thank you guys so much for tuning into and listening to this episode of Birds of a Feather. If you like this content, make sure to subscribe on YouTube, follow the Spotify. Also, make sure to click the link in the bio on whatever platform you're listening on to check out the Twitter and the Instagram. I post daily updates on every single time a episode goes out on there, so make sure to check that out. On Twitter, I also post live game updates, live reactions to everything as well, so make sure to give that a look as well. But I'll have an episode up sometime tomorrow talking about any sort of Ravens updates from practice, and also the Orioles game that's happening tomorrow. So we'll go over that tomorrow. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great Day. Go O's, go Ravens, and I'll see y'all later. Peace out.